48 hours.
He would point his finger and say, "Die, nigger, die." Bang, bang.
I don't understand why he was killed because of the color of his skin.
A crime of hate from a man trained to kill.
This is not over by any means.
A U.S. soldier.
It would be over when he killed someone.
But that's just the beginning.
They had all of this information.
Startling evidence this tragedy didn't have to happen.
Any of your commanders talk about getting this guy out of there?
No.
A 48 hours exclusive.
Racist Nazi skinheads.
Hate in uniform. Are there others out there? And then
Skinheads just love to hate everybody.
healing after the hate.
Finally, a young man come to his sense.
Saved by one remarkable woman.
Thanks to my mom, I'm here.
Plus,
Congratulations.
It's a boy, the girl, it's a boy.
quintuplets.
If I told people I was having a baboon, I'd get a less hysterical reaction.
What a difference a year makes. We check back with the Claver Quints. And he's got it all. Money, prestige, power.
Do you consider yourself a kind of Donald Trump of Hong Kong?
He could be living the American dream, but this dreamer is half a world away. From Hong Kong, I'll bring you an eye-opening look at one man riding the crest of history.
Whether China likes it or not, they will be heavily influenced by what I do.
I'm Dan Rather in Hong Kong, and this is 48 Hours.
Good evening. I'm Susan Spencer. Dan Rather will be joining us a bit later on from Hong Kong. We begin tonight with a 48 Hours exclusive on a vicious hate crime, a crime that rocked the foundations of one of the proudest institutions in this country. At its center is one man, a man who considered himself a patriot, a soldier who believed passionately in a cause. Eventually, for that cause, he would kill. This soldier of misfortune is James Burmeister, a neo-Nazi, who at the time also happened to be a private in the United States Army. And 48 Hours has uncovered shocking evidence that long before his crimes, both the Army and the FBI had information indicating that Burmeister was a disaster just waiting to happen.
You were going to hear a story of evil. An evil that, yes, had its roots in Adolf Hitler.
Hitler kommt Deutschland!
Jesus, keep me near the cross.
The animal that took the lives of these two people executed in as cold-blooded and deliberate a fashion as it's possible to do it.
He would point his finger and say, "Die, nigger, die." Bang, bang.
That was my only child. When I lay in my bed at night and I look at that picture over there, I think about my child.
Sir, he felt that the black race was a bunch of dirty niggers, sir.
And now, Private James Burmeister, a 21-year-old soldier from Fort Bragg, is on trial for his life.
Can you tell the jury what it appears to be?
Burmeister's gun.
Charged with gunning down Jackie Burden and Michael James. More or less for fun.
It's real painful. My heart aches all the time for my son. And he was robbed of his life.
I say the state down in my court. Be seated, please.
Burmeister's chilling story begins right out of high school.
I want to be an airborne ranger.
When he joined the most elite group of paratroopers in the world, the 82nd Airborne, famous for pushing back the Nazis at Normandy.
Attack from the rear. Take bridges and enemy communication centers. Cut off German reinforcements rushing to the front.
Now, more than 50 years later, the 82nd Airborne is about to become famous again.
Do you know any of the people in that photograph?
Yes, sir.
Who?
Sir, there's James Burmeister.
Famous for having neo-Nazis in its own ranks.
They would all stand up and salute. They would stand up and salute like this, sir.
Private Randy Meadows lived across the hall from Burmeister.
Recognize it?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's the Nazi flag, sir.
You ever seen it before?
Yes, sir.
Where?
In James Burmeister's room, sir.
And it turns out Burmeister had reason to wrap himself in that flag.
Couldn't shoot, couldn't jump.
Couldn't jump out of planes.
And could do limited physical training.
Vince Baker was his commanding officer.
The unit I was in at the time was a good, solid, tight unit.
But Burmeister wasn't part of it. Physically, he couldn't cut it.
He couldn't even run half a mile. Burmeister was just the weakest person in the unit.
Specialist Savoy Wilson.
So we kind of pushed him away, and like I say, idle hands at the devil's workshop. He probably just sat there and started thinking and thinking until he found some people he hung out with.
So Burmeister found acceptance in a different quarter.
All the weakest people in the whole unit all hung out together, and they were all called themselves racist Nazi skinheads.
Well, I shaved my head today, and maybe it doesn't seem like such a big deal to you.
He wrote his girlfriend, Kelly Cook Kelly.
So this came in sometime in the spring, say, of '95?
Yeah.
With the news.
It means new friends, new if not reinforced beliefs, a totally new outlook. I like it.
Her testimony paints a motive for murder.
Go ahead and play number 5.
It is known as stomper music.
Was that one of this defendant's favorite songs?
He played it a lot, so I would think so, yes. I told him that being a skinhead was just a phase he was going through, and it would be over soon.
What did he say?
He told me I was right and it would be over when he killed someone.
9 months later, on the night of December 6th, 1995, Michael James and Jackie Burden go for a stroll in this residential section of Fayetteville, unaware that just across town, Jim Burmeister, a total stranger, is about to make good on his promise.
It's misty, it's dark, it's kind of rainy and cold like it is tonight.
Fayetteville police investigator Chris Corcione.
This is where the evening began.
They went from the trailer, which is where Burmeister lived, to a restaurant here called the Squire's Pub. And they sit there and drink and talk for a while.
Burmeister, Randy Meadows, and a third Fort Bragg soldier, Malcolm Wright, are out drinking. A lot.
Is the quantity in the glass pitcher and the glass fishbowl now the same quantity he would have had after he had concluded?
Defense attorney Larry McLaughlin.
Squire's Pub? Yes.
But Burmeister isn't finished. They move on to this topless bar, where Burmeister drinks more.
252 ounces of beer.
And talks about tattoos. One in particular.
He said that they would get the tattoo after they killed the nigger. He laughed and said, maybe I'll earn my spider web tonight.
And of course we know that now, we know that earning a spider web means that you've killed someone.
After 3 hours, they leave the club.
And Burmeister said, go somewhere where there's niggers, where it's not too dark and there's not a lot of people around.
They're looking for some poor, unlucky person who, by the grace of Almighty God, happens to be black.
There they are. There's the nigger couple. James Burmeister had told me to turn left.
It's just like a shark circling a piece of bait before he hits it.
Jackie Burden and Michael James are approaching the corner of Hall and Campbell Avenues.
I was told to pull up to the end of the street and sit there and wait.
Minutes later...
What, if anything, did you hear?
Sir, I heard gunshots.
Michael James is not at the scene. Large pool of blood on the street where he was laying.
Lots of people will say, I know how you feel. Oh, no, not unless the mother done got a son killed. Then she knows.
Lily James is Michael's mother.
Right now, my kids need me.
Nancy, his wife.
They don't understand why their father was taken from them. I can't explain because I don't understand why he was killed because of the color of his skin.
And then she is gunned down when she gets to about this part in the street. She suffered 4 gunshot wounds, 3 to the head and 1 gunshot wound to the back.
Every day of my life, I think of it.
Ira and Robin Freeman, Jackie's parents.
Raining, cold, freezing weather, just shot down. And that was the pain part, is thinking my child laying outside the street, innocent.
2 months after the murders of Michael James and Jackie Burden,
one extremist in the 82nd Airborne Division is one too many.
Fort Bragg acknowledges it has a racial problem.
Avoid affiliation with any extremist organization.
Starts intensive sensitivity classes.
And I am the equal opportunity officer.
And drums out nearly 24 soldiers.
It took the death of my child for them to do it, though, didn't it? They didn't do it before they got killed, right?
Law enforcement sources tell 48 Hours they believe skinheads are still active at the base. They have simply gone underground. But there is more to this story, much more. Burmeister's commanders may have missed the music, the flags, the Sieg Heils, but 48 Hours has learned that months before the murders, both the Army and the FBI had other evidence that Jim Burmeister was a walking time bomb.
Deep down in my heart, I feel that they did know something.
Could this crime have been prevented?
James Burmeister had told me that he wanted to go with some niggers.
The evidence
Jury has a verdict.
and the verdict when we come back.
Also ahead.
Skinheads just love to hate everybody.
Hate.
We attack basically anybody who we saw as different.
And a change of heart.
It took me 15 years to wake up.
The unforgettable story.
He's gonna make it. He's gonna be fine.
Of how a mother saved her son.
Thanks to my mom, I'm here.
Plus, motherhood ×5. It looks tough, but it may be even tougher.
Financially, things are very, very stressful.
We pay another call on the Flavor Quint.
"48 Hours is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Ah, the stars in your life. The Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and the Milky Way. They're the reason we make Ford Windstar with over 40 standard safety features. In fact, Windstar is the only minivan to earn 5 stars, the highest possible rating in government crash tests. Follow the stars, and they'll lead you to Windstar. Ford Windstar, created for the most important people in the world.
I don't shower before work. I email over oatmeal. I take conference calls in my pajamas. Just take a look at the area that I'm highlighting there.
That works.
I document conference, I page, I fax, I work out. I get tons done. I still don't shower. I pray we never, ever get video conferencing.
Dear Thompsons, my neighbors and I all built decks around the same time, but I used Thompson's WaterSeal waterproofer.
For unbeatable protection, America trusts Thompson's.
Over the years, they spent big bucks replacing damaged wood. My deck still looks new. Lenwood Cafe.
Cool la la, so cool. Cool on night, refreshing. Cool la la, so full of life. Save us.
The Quilted Northern Quilters.
First day? Yes, I'm really nervous.
Don't worry, doll. Just keep quilting.
Because that's what makes Quilted Northern so absorbent. Absorbent? I thought it was quilted to be pretty. It's quilted to create thousands of quilted places for moisture to go.
Not like those flat as a pancake sheets made down the street. All that absorbency leaves you feeling clean.
Nice job, dear. Thanks.
Quilted Northern, quilted to absorb.
Ryan Williams and Diane Cannon, tonight on The Late Show.
It's time to state the call. Kelly Cook. Kelly. Do you know this defendant, Jim Burmeister?
Yes,
How long have you known him?
since I was in 11th grade.
Did you and Jim go to the same high school?
Yes.
Susquehanna High School, a short trip from Jim Burmeister's home in sleepy little Thompson, Pennsylvania. Tom Rivenberg is the town police chief.
That's Burmeister's house right there. That was the father's repair shop.
Long before Burmeister discovered the skinhead movement in the Army, long before the Fayetteville murders,
They exited the car, they came down here,
and shots were fired.
Life seemed ordinary enough, filled with school, holidays, a big date for the prom.
James Burmeister.
At his high school graduation, his mortarboard sported a peace sign.
Do you recall approximately the year he graduated?
93.
In his hometown today, they talk about two Jims. The Jim before he joined the Army.
As far as Jimmy Burmeister, he was a young guy that more or less kept to himself.
And the Jim after.
Suddenly, Thompson, Pennsylvania has a budding terrorist on its hands.
Yeah.
That was Rivenburg's fear back in 1994.
It seems that they were going to lure me up onto the old railroad tracks.
When he got information hinting that Burmeister, planning to come home,
So they could have fired on you from that ridge?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
also was planning to ambush him.
You see the rock up the top? That's where they were going to hide behind.
The chief got access to a tape recorded by local scanner buffs of an angry Burmeister calling from Fort Bragg.
Attack on one is an attack on all, motherfucker.
Since I gave one of his friends a ticket for violations with 2 cars, they were planning some reprisals against me.
So you would have been an easy target.
Oh, definitely. Nothing to it.
I got armor-piercing rounds that'll go right through an engine block, dude. That's cool.
Armor-piercing bullets? What was your impression of where these would have come from?
It more than likely came from Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg spokesman insists no one told them about this call. But about a year later, the Army definitely was told about a second call, told by none other than the FBI.
On August 24th, I was visited by an FBI agent.
Vincent Baker, Burmeister's former commanding officer.
And he asked me if he had access to a chemical compound, nitroglycerin.
The FBI was asking because on this second tape,
Nitro. Yeah.
Burmeister pleads with a friend,
Sure, you gotta help me out. Whatever you give me.
a biochemistry student,
I can give you guys technical information and technical support.
to help him build a bomb.
He was serious about the conversation that he wanted to make a bomb.
Burmeister's friend agreed to talk to us as long as we concealed his identity.
The FBI comes to see me. It was becoming clear that he was becoming involved in questionable activities.
I informed my battalion commander. My first sergeant were concerned because he did have access to our arms room. He was assistant armor at the time.
Now, hang on a minute. He had access to the arms room?
Correct.
What was he doing in the arms room?
He was an assistant armor.
What does that mean? What did he have access to?
He had weapons, access to weapons, and at certain times ammunition.
Did the FBI understand that the guy they were talking about was in the arms room?
Captain Baker believed the FBI now was watching Burmeister closely.
I specifically asked the agent, do I need to pull his access? Should I restrict him to the barracks? He said, no, you don't want to tip him off.
So for the time being, Baker did just what the FBI suggested. Nothing.
Any of your commanders talk about getting this guy out of there?
No.
Though by now, Private Burmeister seemed to be shouting his plans from the rooftops.
What have you turned up, if anything, that might have been signs here that this guy was a walking powder keg?
Well, apart from the fact that he wore an iron cross around his neck,
He had an iron cross.
dressed as a neo-Nazi skinhead,
They would stand up and do that.
and displayed Nazi flags in his room. Thank you very much.
Apart from that?
Apart from all of that, he and a couple of other soldiers in the months prior to this killing met at on-post housing on Fort Bragg and built a bomb.
So he said that he was making the bomb so that he could have the knowledge to use later in what they call the RAHOA, the Racial Holy War.
The Army Criminal Investigation, the FBI, have a lot of questions to answer as to why.
There's some victims' families who would agree with you.
Deep down in my heart, I feel that they did know something. Somebody knows something about those men.
The FBI refuses all comment,
I'll tell you what, I'd be glad to talk with you, but they won't let me.
leaving open the question of how someone agents supposedly were watching could possibly manage to build bombs, much less murder 2 people. As for the Army, officials confirm the FBI did seek information about Burmeister, but won't explain why an FBI inquiry didn't prompt the Army itself to do some investigating.
I can't believe that they had all of this information.
The James family's lawyer, Alan Rogers.
There was no reason to believe that he would not at some point commit this type of offense.
We have now completed the presentation of evidence in this case.
For most of the victims' families keeping vigil at Burmeister's trial, justice will be the death penalty.
The crime deserves death, yes. He took a life, took 2 lives, as a matter of fact, and I think he should be taken also.
Ladies and gentlemen, find this defendant guilty of both counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to murder.
The jury deliberates for 3 days.
Just extremely nervous. You don't know, because you can't really get into people's minds.
I'm informed the jury has a verdict.
The jury has returned the following verdicts. As to count number 1, that the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Is this the unanimous verdict of the jury? So say you all.
Yes.
Do you think Mr. Burmeister is at all sorry?
No, I don't think he's sorry. As I can look at him and see, he has a heart of cold steel, and God helped him.
Defendant will please stand.
But at sentencing,
It is the judgment of the court, defendant be imprisoned in the state's prison for a term of life imprisonment without parole.
one lone juror keeps James Burmeister off death row.
I'm not conceding.
But instead of being relieved, he vows to appeal.
I'm not going to quit. This is not over. By any means, it's not over.
Not over either for the victims' families, still bewildered at how, given what the Army and the FBI knew, these murders ever could have happened in the first place.
Who do you blame? Who do you hold responsible?
I blame the government.
I hold the Army responsible because I feel like they could have done better than what they did.
It's hard for me to understand what they were waiting for, unless I guess this was it. They were waiting for someone to die, and then at that point take some action.
Tonight, James Burmeister is serving his time at a prison not far from Fort Bragg, and he's serving it in isolation for his own safety, officials say. They cite an incident last March in which an African-American inmate is said to have attacked Burmeister. They call that incident racially motivated. Fortunately, not all such cases end in tragedy. Sometimes there is an extraordinary change of heart.
In a moment,
Hail victory.
one man who found the courage to walk away from a life of hate.
I didn't like what I saw.
For the sake of his children.
I didn't want them to be the big tattooed racist. I wanted them to be senators and presidents and stuff like that.
What Tough is the available new Ford Triton 5.4-liter V8. What Tough does. What Tough is, it's the wide open spaces of the world's only standard third door. What Tough does. Tough is what Tough does. The new Ford F-150, Motor Trend Truck of the Year, built Ford Tough.
Economists predict that new housing starts should continue.
Who supplies the energy that's good for industry, good for the economy, and good for the environment? America's electric utility companies.
Slow down. Entering Willow Lake. Population 1. You. Now Close your eyes. Let Earth mother your hair with soothing shampoos and conditioners made with flowers and herbs chosen for their unique benefits to the hair. Come as often as needed. Willow Lake. New. Nature's prescription for beautiful hair.
This burning yeast infection itch, I can't wait 3 days or even 1 day for an internal yeast medicine to stop it. I want to stop it now.
Then you need more than an internal medicine that takes days. You need Maximum Strength Vagisil Cream. Because its Maximum Strength medicine works directly on the itch, it stops yeast infection itching in minutes. These yeast products don't.
Maximum Strength Vagisil is the really fast way to stop yeast infection itching.
When you have kids, you practically live in your car. So when something goes wrong, they come along.
That is Midas in Richardson, Texas. Buddy Pace put in a play area.
People's needs vary, but the Midas system for taking care of cars never does. We give your brakes a thorough inspection, we explain your options so you'll know what to do, and we guarantee brake shoes and pads for as long as you own your car.
It's the Midas way, a better system for you and your car.
Kids we don't fix.
Midas, auto systems experts.
Tomorrow, inside China. 8 years ago, the Chinese army opened fire on its own people in Tiananmen Square. Today, it's a very different place, scrubbed clean and quiet. But the memory of that night hangs over the events in Hong Kong. Dan Rather returns to Tiananmen. Red Flag Rising tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
Children stricken by a deadly disease, their town panicked by fear, their family racing to find a cure.
There's no danger to anybody.
Children of the Dark, CBS Sunday.
Okay, boys, let's start them up.
Watch them go.
Oh, man.
They believe that the swastika stands for Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And that they believe that Eve had sex with the devil, and that's where the Jewish people came from. We'd use racial slurs, nigger, kike, spick. All these racist groups had the same goals: separation until you can have so much power you can do total annihilation.
30-year-old Tom Lydon knows a lot about the evils of racism.
Picking up Nazi flags, white he's ready for war.
You can sing this. He should know. For 15 years, half his life, he was a proud white supremacist.
Hail victory.
A neo-Nazi skinhead.
That's the battle flag, the swastika. And when he came home from the hospital, that was when it was over his crib.
When your son came home from the hospital, this was over his
It
crib?
was over his crib.
Beyond the symbols, the music attracted him at first.
As it progressed more and more into racist philosophy, so did we.
The violence grew on him.
We attacked basically anybody who we saw as different.
He was a trusted soldier in the skinhead army.
Pretty much every conceivable one you can think that some Nazi would have, I have on my body.
And a star recruiter.
I could get any average white kid. I could turn him into a Nazi in 18 months to 2 years.
What would distinguish the ones that you could turn from the ones that you couldn't?
The ones I didn't talk to were the ones I couldn't turn.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Lydon.
Today, Lydon is talking to everyone, to audiences no self-respecting neo-Nazi would dream of.
This is basically the way for me to semi-atone for what I'd done.
Last June, he publicly renounced the movement.
White power.
And all it stands for.
How do you just all of a sudden decide that 15 years of your life was completely wrong and now you're going to do something else?
Well, it wasn't like a bolt of lightning hit me. It wasn't until my son got up one morning, went over and turned the television off and turned around and I asked him why he did that, and he said, "Daddy, we're not allowed to watch shows with niggers on it."
Daddy!
Yeah?
Daddy!
That's probably the first time that I saw what I was doing to my two children in their impressionable years, what I was doing to them. I didn't like what I saw.
Why not? This was what you had lived by.
For me, it was okay. I You know, I wanted my children to be something more than what I was. I wanted them to be, you know, senators and presidents and stuff like that. And I knew if they followed my path, there was no way they were going to be successful ever. And the most that he would probably ever accomplish would be jail, death, or bombing buildings in Oklahoma.
Now he preaches tolerance with a sense of urgency.
Look at me. I wasted 15 years of my life, and it took me 15 years to wake up.
Got back early?
All to the delight of his new colleagues at, of all places,
Rabbi Silverman, this is Avery Shapiro at the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
the Simon Wiesenthal Center, famous for hunting Nazis,
Finally, a young man come to his sense.
not befriending them. When Tom Lydon walked through the doors at the Wiesenthal Center, his entire life changed. He says forever. But the people behind these doors at first weren't buying any of it.
My reaction was I was as skeptical as could be. I said, come on. I said, he probably just wants to infiltrate us, going to use us.
Rabbi Marvin Heyer runs the center.
And when I saw him for the first time,
Tattoos and all.
Tattoos and all. Believe me, he didn't change my mind that easily. It was the relationship that he had with his mother.
You called the Wiesenthal Center. What did you say to them?
I told them that I had a son who wanted to get out of the neo-Nazi skinhead movement, and I had 2 grandchildren who were in jeopardy, and I needed to talk to somebody really badly.
Tom has always been close to his mother, but he realized she might be in danger. She walks with a slight limp. To a neo-Nazi, a sign of weakness.
It's all in the Dharma. That means that she would be marked for death.
She'd be marked for death?
Death.
Hello.
How are you?
Just fine, thank you. It's so nice to see you again.
you. His mother is the one that brought him into the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
I'm happy, you know, usually doesn't work out this way, but it is.
More than anything, I saw the relationship.
He's going to make it. He's going to do fine.
I just couldn't believe that any person that would have that kind of relationship with a mother would be capable of using his mother for some sort of a scheme.
My mother always told me that she would be there when I decided to leave the movement. Thanks to my mom, I'm here.
If we're about promoting tolerance, and we finally get an opportunity to take a person who was a hater and use him as an instrument for good, we'd be crazy not to use the opportunity.
And boy, are they using it.
See, there's Tom with the burn American flag.
Tom Lydon, one-time neo-Nazi, has become Tom Lydon, the Nazi hunter.
I could pick out people in the crowds that I know. They want an army of young kids that have been raised since the time they were born to be vicious killers.
He has 2 or 3 speaking engagements a day.
And then after the 600 kids, then you're speaking to the middle school, too.
He warns kids about the recruiting techniques he helped perfect and shows off all the racist, anti-government propaganda. The Turner Diaries, the CDs, comic books. What's the message here?
White power.
Where would this be handed out?
Junior highs.
And videos like the one obtained by 48 Hours for use in this story.
We're kicking ass. We're coming to your town soon.
And he's detailing the skinheads' inner workings to law enforcement as well.
Okay. And then you're leaving right after that for Washington.
Right.
And you have meetings at the Pentagon and the FBI, so I didn't...
He's put himself in a bad situation.
Is he in danger?
I don't know, but I think that he'll probably spend many years looking over his shoulder.
Tom Metzger heads WAR, the White Aryan Resistance, and has called Tom Lydon a traitor.
It annoys me that a white man would totally turn to join this gang of the Simon Wiesenthal Center. These people that would destroy our Bill of Rights if they get a chance.
I've had death threats.
Anyone who would join a group that want to cut my freedom of speech off is a deadly enemy.
I've had calls on my answering machine. You're going to die. We know where you live.
White power! White power! White power!
How many do you have total?
About 30 of them.
But Leiden says fear is overshadowed by the joy of someday being completely rid of his past.
This will be difficult, but let's see what we can do here. Okay. I guess we're ready.
Oh, yeah, it's ready.
Dr. Carl Stein is donating his time
Does that sting you a little bit?
It stings a little.
to the painstaking removal of every one of them.
Because the rubber band's snapping against the skin.
It will take about 3 years.
Is the pain of having these things taken off in any way a part of the process for you?
Yeah, in some ways it is. Some ways of me getting back some of the pain I gave out. Every day I wake up and I look in the mirror and I see the racist. Every day I wake up, the racist is still there because of the tattoos.
Sadder consequences of his past are no easier to erase than those tattoos.
I'm hoping to get the kids today. And it looks pretty good. I'm hoping so.
He's going to court to fight for custody of his children, claiming his ex-wife is raising them in the neo-Nazi movement.
That's Nicole.
Your ex-wife?
Yeah.
The ruling is next.
Still ahead on 48 Hours.
Each one of these apartments will cost between 5 to 10 million US dollars.
The astonishing life of one man.
China will change,
Bringing a little green to red China.
whether China likes it or not.
It's at home anywhere.
You twist now. We'll work on your farm.
Only Oreo.
Whoa, look at that! How cool! Yeah, he's got Hercules plates.
Now at your McDonald's, get cool plates from Disney's new movie, like Zeus, Phil, and Her. $1.99 when you buy your kids a Happy Meal.
Check him out. Cool Hercules plates!
And then there were 5. They were a handful then. And now,
They are amazing. You can see they're just yummy.
catch up with the amazing Claver Quince when 48 Hours continues.
Tonight, tune in for Dave. He's smart, brave, good looking. Then Diane Cannon, and she's
stacked.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Plus, Brian Williams.
He's an anchor man, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a classical good time tonight.
Kill Bambi? Are you nuts? Who would want to kill Bambi? More people than you would imagine, and some of the ones most determined to do it are on 60 Minutes, Sunday.
CBS. Welcome home.
Women in Topeka don't have to wait for the back-bowing signs of osteoporosis to show up. They can take an active role in preventing it with bone density testing at the Stormont Women's Health Center. We'll have the story on our health news tonight.
I'm David Oliver. A nationwide poll says that many Americans don't think too highly of today's younger generation. Tonight, we'll talk to some local youth who say they are living proof that Topeka teens are making a difference.
Every once in a while, something comes along that is truly different, truly unique. Presenting seating for 150 adults, 30 times the cargo space of a Jeep Cherokee, and equipped with 120-wheel drive. What is it? It's 30 Jeep Cherokees, and one of them could be yours. At Hardee's, we're giving away a Jeep Cherokee every day for 30 days, plus millions of other prizes. Just buy any combo for your chance to win. Only at Hardee's. What will they think of next?
There's a new game in town where dreams come alive. Just north of Topeka on Highway 75. Just one name to remember, just one place to play. Sack and Fox Casino, put yourself in the game.
Where dreams come alive, just 95 miles northwest of Kansas City on Highway 75.
Sack and Fox Casino, put yourself in the game. game.
Girlfriends, boyfriends, babies, boomers, deceivers, believers. Montel brings us together.
Weekdays at 4 on CBS 13.
Only Value Line offers a real dime-buster long-distance rate.
I'm nervous. That's why I'm not eating this morning, because I'm afraid if I do, I'll probably get sick. And I want my kids. You know, I want to raise them.
For Tom Lydon, what happens in court will decide more than just who gets the kids.
These boys need a chance to decide on what they want to do, not get told that government is your enemy, Jews are your enemy.
Daddy, what does this say?
It's a fight for the very hearts and souls of his two young sons.
My kids went to cross slidings. My kids went to Aryan fests. Our summer vacations was going to the Aryan Nations compound. And my son would give the Nazi salute to every flag he saw. He just thought that's what you do when you see a flag. I'm as much to blame of my child's raising as being a racist as my wife is. Except for the fact is that I now know it's wrong.
But he says his estranged wife, Nicole, sees nothing wrong at all.
She's a neo-Nazi skinhead. And as far as I know, she'll raise my kids to be that way.
Reason enough, Tom has argued, for him to get custody. Though we could find no past case where racist behavior alone had cost a mother her children.
We believe she will raise those children as white supremacists, which is not in their best interest.
Tom's lawyer, Janet Brandon. Nicole denies knowing anything about the neo-Nazi movement, but family pictures and tapes tell another story. 1990, Nicole at a swastika burning.
Pinky?
1993, at a white power baby shower.
These are nice.
She has never, Tom insists, publicly renounced the movement. Do you deny it? In October, she refused to answer our questions. But she had to answer questions of a court-appointed psychologist. His report out today.
Now he begins to talk about
This is Nicole.
He has concerns about her past ties to neo-Nazi groups.
Here's your evaluation.
And much uncertainty about Tom's break with his past. The recommendation?
It is the examiner's opinion that it is in the best interest of the boys to remain in the primary care of their mother.
It's a major disappointment.
And what you have to remember is that everybody is leery of someone who's done what you've done.
No.
And you need a chance to prove yourself too.
For Tom, the good news is that the court prohibits Nicole from moving, gives him more visitation, and schedules another hearing where he thinks he will prevail.
I guarantee you we're going to court because I'm going to get my kids. This is not over by far, and this is not over.
Since we first brought you that report last winter, Tom Lydon has continued his custody fight for his kids. In fact, there's another court hearing scheduled for later on this summer. It's impossible to know exactly how many Americans are involved in the neo-Nazi movement. But by one estimate, there are as many as 40,000 white supremacists in the United States today.
Coming up next.
We have the ancient, we have the new.
Here comes Hong Kong.
We have the Eastern, we have the Western.
And communist China may never be the same.
Lemon and Mathau are national treasures.
We are witnessing history here.
I've seen history, it stinks.
They're dancing.
Oh, you moron, you don't even know how to dance.